shaky cam in the paint room, and what I have is one very dark monocolor Battlestar. What I've done, given her a coat of Vallejo's dark gray primer. It's almost black, but my objective here is to actually give me a base for the shading, make it a lot easier to do. I'm going to let this dry, and then it'll be time to hit it with the more traditional light gray. Okay, originally I had planned to do the paint on the Galactica in 3 stages. The dark primer that you saw in the last segment, a light gray primer, and then followed by black wash and dry brush and white. After doing my, if you will, base coat in the Vallejo Surface Primer Gray, come to a conclusion. Base paint on the Galactica is done. Airbrushed it with the gray primer. Underside's a little darker than I wanted, but I still like how it looks. The dark primer really brought out the detail. At this point, I've got to go and do the engines and put on her decals. And I'll go and probably pick out the launch tubes. But at this point, she is basically, well, she's ready for decals at this point. I've still got to do the engine, but that's where we're sitting. Alright, I apologize for being on shaky cam, but Galactica doesn't fit on the workbench very well with the backdrop up. So, I've moved her down where she's more easily seen. Without further ado, I give you the last Battlestar, Galactica. All of the decals are on now. I've decided not to go in and weather her. Now, I did decide, rather than using the kit supplied decals for the striping here and on the launch bays, to paint it, as well as the stripe here and on the engines. I opted to paint those because they were just easier to do with the paint than they were to get the decals to work in those areas. I mean, this would have been 5 different decals, and that would have been 4. It was easy enough to go ahead and paint with a fine tip brush. Got the nameplate on, gave the whole thing a overall coat of flat to seal it up, as well as dull it down. After all, she wasn't a very shiny ship. Also went in on the engines. This little one's not showing all that well, but I painted the inside there with the inside piece rather with Tamiya transparent red. Painted the backs of these with Tamiya transparent blue, and then painted the back further with white to help make the color stand out a little. For not lighting the kit, it works really well. Overall, I am very happy with how she turned out. And as promised, we have her sister down here, newly rechristened the Pegasus. Now, size-wise, the old Revell kit, or old monogram kit rather, is slightly bigger in some areas. It's also slightly longer. There's some definite differences in the shape, but overall, I think they look pretty good together. Could call them variants of the same class, if you will. Go ahead and put some stills at the end of this. And thank you all for watching what turned out to be a very, very fast build, but I hope you all liked it.